The Cigar Nerds Podcast.
And welcome to Cigar Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe.
I'm Brad Jackson.
And it's official. It's October. It's the hoodies have come out. The ladies have started hunting down the pumpkin spice lattes. And the Cigar Nerds are going to talk about horror or horror adjacent movies for the next month.
Horrors? What?
Yes, those two. Yeah, and hell, we got a skull on our table if you're watching on the YouTube. So we're fully into the season already. So what are we smoking this week, Brad?
This week we are smoking the Diesel Atonement.
Which sounds like kind of heavy.
Atone for your sins and smoke thy cigar.
Yes,
oh wait, not at all.
This is their TAA release. Only 1,000 boxes made. You can pick these up at the cigar shop. They are a TAA retailer.
I have to say this probably, outside of like the, Pudgy Monsters and stuff like that, this is my next favorite box.
Yes, because they only come in like a little 10-count box, but the box looks like a book. I mean, it is actually like leather wrapped. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, we got one sitting right here on the table. And, check us out on Instagram. I'll post a picture of it. But this is probably one of the coolest boxes I've seen. It's a Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, Connecticut broadleaf binder, and an all Nicaraguan filler. It only comes in a 6x52 Toro, served in these little 10-count book boxes, which, hell, once it's done, you can freaking hide like a little pistol or something in there, put it on your bookshelf.
Dude, I'm just saying, for people that, cigar boxes make great storage, this one's right up my alley. I legit, could put that in a bookcase with other books, and nobody would be none the wiser just looking at it from the binding on the rear.
Yeah, I mean, it's as much, this Sumatra wrapper, broadleaf binder, it's supposed to be and also these are made by AJ Fernandez as well, so.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's manufacturing and partnering with, everybody under the sun, so.
It's like, we need a hit. Who do we call? We call AJ. But yeah, it's.
And I think these are limited to, just the 6x52s, right?
Yeah, so far it's only one size and only 1,000 boxes made.
And this is a TAA exclusive, if I'm not mistaken.
So you have to go to a TAA retailer or find one that sells them online. Usually there's one or two per state, so if you're not local to us, there's probably one somewhere near you. And to go with our kind of spooky season, we're going to talk about a new vampire movie, came out I think last month, but Dayshift. Yeah, the story of Snoop Dogg and Jamie Foxx hunting vampires. And if you're going to hunt vampires in LA, you should call in the Strike Force. StrikeForceEnergy.com. Use your promo code Cigar Nerds for 20% off your order. It's not quite a silver bullet, but it does come in a little tin pouch that looks silvery, so you might be able to.
At some point, they'll probably add garlic to.
Yeah, mix some garlic in there. You can spit it in vampires' faces as a weapon. Keep you energized for your mission.
Just right off the bat, the cigar brings more to the table than I was anticipating.
Yeah, Diesels, they've not made it into my daily smoke rotation. But some of these, but this, it's. Little bit of pepper and spice. I like that.
This smokes like a full flavor Nicaraguan, but with that, Ecuadorian, Sumatra, and Connecticut, it just switches up the mix a little bit. I'm not a big Connecticut fan, but right now I'm really digging this cigar. And maybe that's because I just really wanted to have a cigar.
Yeah, it's.
Notes of leather, wood, earthiness.
It's too early to say it's strong, but it feels like it's gonna have a little bit of a kick to it.
Just right off the rip, I was like, "Ooh, that's spicy. I like it."
Yeah, like the regular Diesels. What was the one we tried? The Delirium. I like that one, and I like the whiskey cask better than the sherry cask. But yeah, for some reason, Diesel. The ones I've tried, I've liked, but it's not kind of become a regular smoke. They finally make one of them like, ooh, this could be a regular smoke, but it's a limited edition, so they're going to be gone in a couple months, and I'm going to be like, oh.
And I always think of a name like Diesel, like rolling coal, like, all of your cigars would be black as soot and but no, that's not the case at all.
No, they've all had like good kind of complexity and varying levels of strength, but it's not like, you think Diesel, you think Diesel's like, hardcore. We're going to like, freaking roll coal, as they say in the South.
People in West Virginia are like, man, we make our money mining coal. We don't roll it. Only thing we do is roll it out of a mine.
And R.I.P. to the coal miner's daughter who just passed away, Loretta Lynn.
That was an unintentional segue, but beautifully executed, my friend.
Oh, and with that, we'll be right back. And welcome back. It is time to start off the spooky season with a... Do you even count this as a horror movie? Or is this an action movie with vampires?
Dude, this is phenomenal action. Like, I was blown away, but at the same time, like, there's a lightheartedness, there's, a bit of, drama and family bonding and,
and
comedy.
Snoop Dogg.
And, yeah, I mean...
Well, I gotta say, it's
no Snoop Dogg hood of horror.
I mean, before we even get into, like, kind of the plot and stuff, this is a Netflix original, and they've been killing it with, like, I mean, theaters are so fucked, because, like, the streaming services are making great... It used to be that was the lesser than, like, oh, that went straight to video, but now it's, like, straight to video is, like, where it's at.
Well, I think, and this is going to segue a little bit for nerd news, but, if you look at Hollywood right now, it's like they're just trying to recapitalize on the retro 80s and 90s vibe, Yeah,
nobody's doing anything new these days. Or even the, where it's such a kind of dead zone for theatrical releases, Top Gun is still playing. Like, it's still in theaters now because there's nothing else coming out.
Oh, yeah. I literally, was just hanging out with, a buddy from work, and that's where they're headed to now, is to watch it for, like, the 5th time.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, that movie is still making bank.
Yeah, I mean, didn't have anything to do last night, and I'm like, man, I should go see a movie. And I just, like, bring up what's playing in the theaters because I wanted to get out of the house, and it's, like, a bunch of shit that I've never heard of, and Top Gun. And I'm like, well, I've already seen Top Gun, so I guess I'm going to go to the Netflix.
So I've been doing a lot of flights, traveling, lately, and that is still by far, when you look at all the little seatback TVs, Top Gun is the one, still being played on most of the flights that I've been on.
I mean, we missed Clerks 3. It was only briefly in theaters, and so... Yeah, hopefully we get to see that at some point whenever it makes its way to... Because right now it's on tour. So, and I don't know if I'll be around to see it in the tour, but eventually it'll hit video. But yeah, we're talking about the action. This is a fucking action movie with vampires. And because, like, some of the people behind the film are the same people who did, like, fight choreography and all that shit on the John Wick films. So even though this is kind of a campy, almost comedic action horror, when there's action, it's the most bad. It's like that's the only part of the movie they take seriously. They're like, goofy guys fighting vampires, to pay off his ex-wife, and then it's like, oh, when the fight scenes break out, you're like, goddamn, it's some John Wick shit.
I mean, the fact that it wasn't just true Hollywood, everything has unlimited ammo capacities. Like, no, there's reloading, there's hand-to-hand combat. Like, there's a wide variety. Like, we talked about, could Blade, be remade, and still have the same feeling.
Hell, it's already happening. It's coming out next year, I think.
But will it be the same?
I don't know yet.
But, this gives me hope. I mean,
I'm just waiting for that Midnight Suns movie that they haven't announced yet with, like, Blade and Moon Knight. And hopefully Man-Thing. But we'll probably talk about that next time.
Are you trying to mansplain?
No, Man-Thing. He's like
okay.
He's like Marvel's version of Swamp Thing.
Ah.
It's like the more I look at comic stuff, the more I'm like, I don't know who ripped off who, but there's so many things like DC and Marvel are like, this is the same shit.
It's a great idea. We can't use this, so this is now Fishman and Mermaid. Not Mermaid. Mermaid.
It's Merman. It's a dude fish.
Merneutral. That way we can, appease the gender
What about
fluid community.
A maid mer, where it's the top half is a fish and the bottom half is a person. It's like reversed.
Mind blown. Sadly, I'm trying to visualize it. It just does not compute.
This is as bad as a centaur, where it's like a human with a horse head instead of a human with a horse body.
Yeah, but I mean, at least that works.
BoJack Horseman.
I don't know. Can't talk about mermaids and not talk about, Metalocalypse and mermaid murder.
Mermaid murder. Yeah, so another thing that's kind of interesting about this, I mean, well, from the title, it's called Dayshift. Just about every vampire movie you watch, it's dark, it's gritty. Like Blade, I don't think he ever went out in the sunlight except to get his medication, that one episode. But this thing pretty much entirely shot in the daylight.
Well, I mean, what they did is they took, Twilight and okay, our vampires aren't going to sparkle in the sunlight. They're just going to apply sunscreen.
Didn't they do that in the first Blade movie? Like they had fucking FPS 3000. It would work for a little while.
I don't know. I always just remembered the, blacked out windows and everything else. But yeah, I don't know. I like the fact that, when this film got serious, it got serious and it, tugged at the heartstrings a little bit. But, by and large, it was just a good, almost, I don't know, almost comedy, but.
I mean, you can't have even when Jamie Foxx is serious, he's still funny at times. And Jamie Foxx is probably one of the best actors not even actor, best performer we have today, because the dude can do everything. I mean, he can do comedy, he can do, he can sing better than most performing artists now, and then the dude can also be a freaking action star if he wants to be. It's there's nothing fucking Jamie Foxx can't do at this point. It's kind of infuriating that man, I wish I had at least a quarter of his talent.
Maybe you do. You just haven't unlocked your full potential yet.
I'm just really good at things that aren't profitable.
If you were a vampire, then you could do all things.
Yeah, because then you got time. But I mean, in this movie, of course, Jamie Foxx plays Bud Jablonski, a non-union vampire hunter. Oh, and we'll get to the union here in a second. But the way the movie starts off with him just before you even know about vampires or whatnot, it's here's the pool boy, just cleaning the pools, and then as soon as the neighbors leave, it's secret compartment with his bag full of shotguns and his battle belt and putting on his I'm is this dude a hitman or is something going on? And then he goes in there and that first fight scene with the old lady, I was oh shit, this is not comedic vampire movie. This shit has been that's 5 minutes in and you got the most legit fight scene going on with him fighting a damn gymnast contortionist vampire old lady.
No grandma tits, though.
No grandma tits, thankfully. I thought we were about to get some grandma tits.
I was oh, you're setting it up. But no, I think Hollywood's finally done with that. Until the next Evil Dead film.
Speaking of Evil Dead, the black blood vomit all over him. And then him turning to run and slips and falls in it. I'm all right, cool. Even in like this badass fight scene, you take time for some slapstick comedy.
Yeah, I mean I think that's what kind of gave it the, sort of lightheartedness, but at the same time, like, you realize, like, the stakes are real. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I appreciate it because it didn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it wasn't just so cheesy that it's like, I can only appreciate this because nobody else will. I mean, it's almost like, Fatal Future. It's not my fault nobody else has good taste in film.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, it was like that whole fight with the old lady. I was like, the movie switches gears where it's like, it's kind of, like you said, lighthearted and even, a little bit goofy at times, but it's like, oh, time for a fight scene. We're in like John Wick mode now.
Well, I mean, not even the fight
and even
scenes,
like the comedy,
but like the car chase scenes and everything else. Like, I'm like, shit, you guys did that better than Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, I mean, it had way better action sequences than it probably deserved. And it, I was like, after it was over, I was like, holy shit, this is a badass movie.
I mean, and you got to give it up for Snoop Dogg, I mean, he is legitimately the man in black. Seeing Snoop Dogg repping the cowboy hat, like, he's not to be fucked with.
Yeah, so basically, Jamie Foxx finds out his ex-wife needs some money, or she's moving to Florida and taking the kid with her. So he's like, I got to get 10 grand in the next 3 or 4 days. And being a independent vampire hunter does not pay the bills because I got to sell my, apparently, like, vampire teeth are like currency. So there's like, I guess, a bounty on vampires where you kill a vampire, you cash in their teeth. But since he's not union, he can only sell them to like shady pawn shop dudes. But so he calls, apparently he had been in the union and got kicked out because he's a little bit of a loose cannon. And he calls his old buddy Big J that he apparently served in Afghanistan with.
Big John. Big Bad John.
So, John gets him one more chance with the union. And when they show up to like go visit the union office, it's Snoop motherfucking D-O-double-G playing a redneck. I was like, way to go against, like, typecasting. It's very easy, like, oh, we're going to make Snoop Dogg some, like, inner city gangster. But no, he rolls up in a lifted Dodge Ram, cowboy boots, duster, fucking cowboy hat, and, like, big country belt buckle. I'm like, it's a good look, Snoop.
He's a
I like
cowboy.
Country Snoop, and he's like, I'm a cowboy, baby. Gets out with that giant blunt he's smoking on there, and just, what's up, baby?
Because you can't have Snoop Dogg without Snoop Dogg smoking some blunts. And if you're gonna fight vampires, like, I feel like you got to be in some kind of headspace, like, so. I totally agree. Like,
you got to work on that vampire.
That may be
PTSD.
why the West Coast is like, they're on to something. They're like, no, we got vampires and shit. Like, people need to de-stress. Like, we just haven't realized it yet here over on the East Coast.
Throw some garlic in your blunt. You just like make clouds. You puff out a cloud. It's like, oh, I'm burning.
That sounds terrible.
Oh, you don't like the flavor of a little garlic in your cigar?
I've never tried a garlic flavored cigar. Can't say I'd be like, I mean, I get people that, enjoy their flavored cigars, but if somebody was like, oh, this is a garlic parmesan, like, hell to the nizzle nah.
Yeah, and apparently the Vampire Hunters Union is located under a dry cleaner. They go in there and, given the code words to get in. And it's funny, too, because, like, every girl that they run into, Snoop's like, tipping the hat, ma'am. And they're like, ooh, call me. And it's all like, Snoop Dogg is an older gentleman now. You kind of forget that because he looks the same as he always has, but he's like, yeah, he's in his 50s now. So it's like all the ladies that he was hitting on was age appropriate. I'm like, that's inventive. I've not, usually it's like going to be some young hottie, but like, no, they gave Snoop like age appropriate girls to hit on, which I'm like, I appreciate that. That's something you don't see every day in Hollywood.
So I mean, they're in the valley dealing with vampires.
Cobra Kai show up.
Yeah, I
Fight
mean,
some vampires.
I'm wondering, like, where all of our karate, like, are we gonna have a crossover now? But Snoop Dogg's now a sensei. Like,
that's the next season of Cobra Kai. They gotta fight vampires.
Maybe Jamie Foxx as a sensei. Like, I got moves. You need to learn these. I also have weapons you've never seen or heard of, because their sting's bigger. Whoa! What if there is some kind of crazy spinoff where it's like, oh, we were gonna do this, international tournament, but the vampires are a threat, so now like anybody with any fighting skill is called to.
Well, these are all like Netflix originals. So what if they do like a crazy crossover where it's like Cobra Kai Dayshift, or what was that other Jamie Foxx movie where he had like superpowers and shit? Like everyone had like animal-based superpowers. Those guys are fighting vampires now. It's
So we're gonna have like the Jamie Foxx verse.
Yeah. But you know what? This just makes me want to.
This is the problem here. You and I joke about this shit, but people that appreciate good film, like, I guarantee you this is how the conversation started around Sharknado. Like, a couple of guys bullshitting, and they just happen to grab the right person's ear. It's like, we want to put sharks in tornadoes, man. Like, that's just as far out of an idea as we just proposed.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like,
we need a lawyer. We need some copyright. Like,
I feel like everyone needs that one, like, person that just, like, allows you to do dumb shit. It's like, man, we should like make a movie about sharks and NATOs and be like, cool, I know a guy, we can get funding for that. And you're like, dude, that was just bullshit. Now I gotta actually make that shit. Kind of like this podcast. I'm like, I got a lot of opinions. I should make a podcast. And you're like, audio engineering is not that hard. Like, we can like do that over the weekend. I'm like, oh fuck, now I gotta do it. Everyone needs that one person where you say something stupid, they're like, all right, this is how you do it.
Now I need a weekend.
But this movie made me want to see like a modern Blade movie with legit action stuff.
Well, I just love the fact too that with all the vampire tropes and stereotypes, like, they actually referenced fucking Twilight.
Yeah, because the leader of the Vampire Hunters Union hates Jamie Foxx and wants him to like fail. And he's like, all right, I'll give you one more shot, but you're going to have a union rep with you at all times. And it's basically a nerd rookie who knows the book back to forward, but has never been actually out in the field. And now it turns into like almost like a buddy cop thing where Jamie Foxx is now saddled with this rookie who's really there just to
piss his pants.
Yeah, report on him and get him fired. But they eventually kind of become friends after a while.
I think something like burying the hatchet comes to mind. I don't know why, but
yeah, he's like, man, this is the real world out here. If you fuck up, you get yourself killed. It's not like Breaking Dawn Part 2 or Twilight. And he's like, dude, way a lot about the Twilight films. He's like, all right, I got a daughter, and he's like, no, man, the fucking Twilight movies are great. Have you seen like whatever? And he's like, no, not yet. And he's like, oh man, I can't wait to like this one. And it's like start bonding over. He's like this like badass like tough dude. He's like, all right, yeah, I watch the Twilight movies. Here's one. As in a world where vampires actually exist, what do you think vampires think of bad vampire movies? Is it like me when I watch cop movies and I'm like, man, they wouldn't do that shit? It's like vampires sitting around watching Twilight and they're going, this is bullshit.
Do vampires have time for, like, I guess so. I mean, what else?
I mean, they live forever. Eventually you get bored and got to do something. I mean, fuck, these vampires had day jobs. Like, one of them was a real estate agent.
Yeah, true.
Which
I don't know. Like that part was actually kind of cool.
Very mafia-esque, where
Yeah,
it's like
like-
she's taking over the valley and becoming like the greatest real estate agent, so she can basically build subdivisions full of vampires, so she can kind of like sneak in her whole army to eventually like rise up and take over the world, and also apparently take out any competing vampire clans, because you know her guys are loaded up with like vampire bullets. Silver-tipped wood AK rounds. I'm like, nice. And I like Jamie Foxx like
I kind of like the idea too, you know, of the like garlic coated, you know, fucking shotgun rounds and stuff. Like,
yeah, he was because there's a sequence where when the rookie first has to go on the road with him, he takes him to his like mini storage / vampire hunter workroom, and he's taking like, I think it's like teak wood and dipping it in lead, making or silver, and making basically silver wood 12 gauge like buckshot and stuff, because he's like, you know, you put the, you know, wood inside of them and then it keeps them from like regenerating and shit. I'm like, it's kind of a cool way to like bring firearms into vampire hunting without just like, those things are ineffective, I gotta use my stake and my sword. But
and sometimes that's just not enough.
yeah, sometimes you need some piano wire dipped in silver to
But I always
chop people's heads off.
So did it explain the silver with the vampires? Like, I always thought silver was more of a werewolf thing. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not the most well, you know, prepared for a vampire outbreak, because I would not have silver on hand.
No, and it kind of varies from genre to genre. Like, I think like different books and different movies always do it different. But yeah, some of them like they can't touch. They're like allergic to silver. They can't touch it. You touch them with a piece of silver, it burns them. And then some others I've heard it's like iron. They don't like iron. You can hit them with a fucking piece of iron. So yeah, it kind of. I guess silver is like.
So I guess being a vampire isn't very metal. I'll see myself out.
You just gotta get that cheap chrome plated shit. You'd be good. Just can't do any real stuff. White gold. You'll be good with white gold. Platinum too. You can wear platinum. You just
Sounds
can't.
racist.
No silver.
How are we still on a network? We were on a network up until this episode. It devolved.
Oh, but yeah, his first hunt out, homeboy just straight pisses himself. And it kind of reminded me of that like Adam Sandler thing. Where he's like, "No, don't worry, man. Everybody pisses himself the first time." Did you piss yourself? Well, no, but you know, most people piss themselves the first time. Don't worry about it, dude. You know, because at first he's like, "Fuck this guy," and then eventually like, "All right, he's just kind of a dumb kid, and he's in over his head. Like, I'll try to like, you know, educate him and so he doesn't get himself killed." But the whatever, fighting vampires in the bowling alley, and it's like a fucking vampire football team. If you got a vampire cheerleader, very Buffy-esque.
I was really disappointed that, you know, I mean, they did say it had been closed for 18 months, but it's a bowling alley. Like, seeing somebody slide down, you know, a lane, you know, and getting a pin through the heart or something, like,
that would have been cool. Missed opportunity to throw some bowling balls at people too. Just it's like whatever. Strike, motherfucker. I mean, if we know anything from action movies, you got to say something cool right before you kill somebody.
Oh, there were some great one-liners in this film. Like, as I was watching, I was like, ha, I'm going to remember that for the podcast. Guess what I don't remember for the podcast?
Oh. And the other vampire lore that I don't think I've ever seen that they've added to this, he's like, oh yeah, when vampires die, they'll puke on you or release like a gas that other vampires can smell. So you got to go home and take a shower and make sure you get all that stuff. So I've developed this like special bath powder that kills it, but it burns like a motherfucker. And whatever you do, don't get it in your butt. He's like, make sure you don't get it in your eyes, but especially don't get it in your butthole. And like the next day he sees him, he's like, how it goes, man? He's like, not good. I got some of that in my butthole. It was way worse than you said it was. He's like, I know, man. Oh. So if you need to take a vampire bath, careful of your butthole.
All right. Mind the beehole. Got it. So that's step one. Like, I almost feel like we needed a, World War, Z or a Zombieland, like,
Here's
these are
the rules.
10 rules of, field operations when you're hunting vampires.
Oh, and then probably the second best, or not second best, but the next badass action sequence is when he runs into the two, like, brothers. They've tracked some vampires down to one of these subdivisions, and it's the Nazarian brothers. And it's kind of cool that, like, you see all the hunters have their own, like, cover, because some random person rolls up in front of somebody's house. They're,
Like, you can't just advertise vampire hunters are us,
Well, even then, like a car in an unusual car in a neighborhood, some Karen's going to call the cops, be like, hey, there's a suspicious vehicle out in front of my neighbor's house. So Jamie Foxx poses as
it worked for the Ghostbusters. They legitimately had that shit plastered all over Echo 1. What do? We bust ghosts, like vampire busters.
But Jamie Foxx's day story cover is he's a pool boy, and the Nazarian brothers are like home electronics installers. So it's like no one would question that parked out in front of a house in a neighborhood. I'm like, homeboy's getting a new stereo. But where's all that gunshot and screaming coming from over there? Oh no, they're just watching action movies, testing out the new surround sound system. But he's like, yeah, why don't we this might be a big job. Why don't we just like team up and we'll split the money? And I go in and turns out the house is a hive that is full of fucking vampires, and the next best like action sequence of that movie. I mean, the fighting in that, and then the two brothers too, because they're like, it's Jamie Foxx and Seth, played by Dave Franco. Yeah, they're very like individual fighting, but the two brothers, they've been doing it so long. It's like, I'm out. Throw a mag across the room. Hell, in one part, he like racks a round off a vampire's head, and his brother catches the round in his pistol to shoot the other. It's like ballistic ballet. It was. I mean, it's completely unrealistic, but
is it?
The way they were going back and forth in that fight was amazing.
That legitimately made me want to be like,
and that was awesome.
Hey, Joe, I'm gonna eject this round. You catch yours in the chamber. Like, see how many takes until we get it.
We need to do a Mythbusters style thing where we try to do that.
I feel like it could happen.
We gotta start with like a shotgun, something that has a big ejection port, and work our way to pistols. Like the freaking whatever spear that turns into nunchucks, and like the staff that's like a sword. I'm like, that's probably my favorite fight scene in the movie. Is those. I mean, Jamie Foxx was doing some work. Even Dave Franco didn't die.
I don't know. I thought it was cool that we were talking about our union rep turned field guy. But the vampire that he gets encountered with, that's the fucking contortionist. Like,
just crawls out of the fucking vent. Like, oh hell no.
Like, god damn it! Now we got vampire spiders. The fuck.
This is why you need a flamethrower. But then again, you lose your money, because the one thing is like, quizzing him, and he's like, how do you kill a vampire? And he's like, this, and this. Like, well, you forgot about fire. He's like, no, I didn't forget about fire, because I make my money selling teeth. Why the hell do I want to burn my money? So no fire. But in that case, probably should use some fire. This is burn this fucking house down. I do like killing the kill with the flat screen TV. Where he pulls it down on top of that person's head and then kicks the TV and like decapitates their head. He's like, head up. I was like, all right, that was pretty good.
Really makes me want to get like a ballistics gel and us break a TV or a monitor. I'm not sure that would actually happen.
Oh, vampires might have more hardy bodies. They might be a little tougher. I don't think you could put a human head and make a perfect. I mean, you'd probably break somebody's neck with a TV. I don't think you're gonna get like the head completely through a perfect hole. That was an awful thin TV, though. I mean, maybe that's why we need MythBusters back to answer these questions.
I have a lot of questions.
The freaking knife boots too, doing crazy jump kick. Like that fight scene is so ridiculous, but it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, the cinematography and the choreography of it all, just like I don't know, you know. I mean, it's one of those. It's like I could be watching this in a theater and I would not be disappointed.
No, is this one like a lot of the times I'm like, cool. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to wait in line. I don't have to buy a ticket. I can just watch it on my TV while I'm smoking a cigar. But this one is like, I almost want that big screen experience, especially for later on when you find out that the old lady that he killed in the first fight was actually the daughter of the head vampire of this area, because she left, and when she came back to like get her daughter had grown up and was like 80 by the time she got turned. So like, you know, she's pissed off because he killed her daughter, and she's been working hard to track him down, and you know, decides to jump him at his daughter's at some birthday party, and so they're like, you know, we're gonna kill your whole, or we're gonna turn your daughter and kill your wife and everything else for revenge. So they get jumped at that party, and his like late 60s Chevy truck is like, that thing is like, it looks like an old junker that would blend in, but that thing is badass. He's like, all right, buckle up, sweetie, and like puts on like the fucking 4-point racing harness, and then it gets into like this epic car chase through LA with like trophy trucks and like dirt bikes, and like just a rolling fight. It's like a fight scene with cars, and I was like, this is better than like you said, better than some of the shit I've seen in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah,
I was like, this
absolutely.
is fucking awesome.
I don't know.
And the daughter's playing Mario Kart the whole time. He's like, put on your earphones, honey. Like, you know, Dad's gonna be doing some swerving. Just keep a look at the iPad.
We call this special driving.
Yeah. Don't tell your mother. And then when she takes off her, she's like, I'm done with my race, but you need some help. Like, and starts like, you know, fucking giving him like the co-driver shit. Turn left, turn right, car.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the fact too that like the shit that was happening, you know, on her screen in the game is the shit that is happening, you know, outside the vehicle. But she's just, you know, so like, lost in her own little world, so innocent. Like,
yeah, it's like, man, I could really use one of those blue turtle shells right now.
A garlic pill.
I'm surprised he didn't have some kind of like weapon, like vehicle mounted weapon. You hit a button and fucking machine guns come out of the hood or some shit. Went full like James Bond. I mean, Blade's car had shit like that in it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like union versus non-union, like, you're down on your luck. Like, you're not gonna have the funds for all that nonsense.
Yeah, ammo's expensive. Speaking of which, when he goes to the shady pawn shop guy to like sell him the teeth, it's old what's his name, who's, I always remember him as the freaking Russian Grim Reaper from Bad Boys 2. That dude's been in like, hell, he's the devil in like the Constantine movies. Speaking of Keanu Reeves and John Wick. Peter Stormare.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool too, like how like it's almost like trees, you know, counting the rings on a tree to determine its age, but they do that with, you know, the teeth.
It's like the teeth length,
yes,
or whatever they continuously grow. He's like,
like,
oh no,
this one's 10 years from being an elder. Like in fucking typical shady pawn. Oh yeah, that looks to be, you know, worth about 20,000. But this and this and this, I'll give you 800. Motherfucker, we went from 20,000 to 800.
Or the one, like, he's like, oh, this one right here is like a very new vampire. It's not worth anything. And then when he turns the teeth in, he's like, oh, this one's worth this is like a 90-year-old tooth. He's like, oh, really? Huh, you don't say. Like, fucker's been scamming me all this time. And you can tell this movie is like I said, a lot of the people behind John Wick did a lot of the action stuff. There are so many Terran tactical guns in this movie. Like Jamie Foxx's like primary weapon is a Terran tactical combat master with dice in the grip that he calls like Snake Eyes or something like that. That is a badass pistol. I'm like, oh, I want one of those. But yeah, fucking pretty much everyone is like rocking some kind of Terran tactical gun.
$1,500 apparently is what it takes to acquire one, and a man down on his luck.
Actually, it's more than that because
I was just talking about in the film.
But it costs $1,500, but you have to. The gun is separate. It's $1,500 worth of work. So you got to buy a Glock, send it to Terran, and then it costs you $1,500 for him to send you back a combat master. Don't have one of those in my collection yet, but goddamn, I want one. Hell, his new shit. Was it the Sand Viper? It's like a fucking $2,000 pistol. It's ridiculous. You got to be like Demolition Ranch, fucking YouTube rich to afford one of those. Like, I got to have way more than the 25 subscribers we have now on YouTube before I can buy me a Sand Viper.
Dude, it's not all about YouTube. We got 30,000 folks worldwide. Yeah.
Yeah, we need sponsors. Sponsor us and buy us guns. Y'all need to buy a shitload of Strike Force.
Look, when we reach X amount of subscribers, I will light Joe's next cigar using a dragging breath round.
No, we get one of those Elon Musk, not a flamethrowers.
That's when we hit a next tier.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I feel like
it is.
I feel like the flamethrower though would be, I don't know. Would you have more control with that than? I mean, the dragon's breath. You don't really have any control what's coming out of the end of the barrel. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of buckshot also involved in that. So yeah, I think we could have more control with the flamethrower. You might need. I mean, I've already burnt the shit out of my arm, so get like a safety glove or something. We might be able to get.
I got some welding gloves.
Yeah, I need longer welding gloves because, yeah, I roasted my fucking arm.
Dude, your arm looks like my legs.
Yeah, it's like I had a pulled pork accident. Burnt myself pulling my pork.
Yeah, Mama always warned you about, playing with your meats. One day you'd get burned.
And here's the thing I want to know about vampires. Is part of like vampire lore, as soon as you get turned into a vampire, you become a ninja master? Because I can understand other vampires knowing how to fight.
I don't know that you become a ninja master, but I think maybe that you just become so enraged and like so, like, I guess, thirsty. I mean, they don't really eat; they drink. So,
but it's
maybe that's the fact. They're so fucking hangry. That, like, I'm sick of this diet of blood. I just want to fucking eat something. But as a vampire, I don't actually eat because, we don't pee or poop. So there's no digestion.
And that means they're full of shit. But it's like, all right, I can understand, like, Blade movies, whatever. Some of these vampires being skilled fighters because they've had a couple hundred years to train. But Seth, the main vampire later does capture Jamie Foxx, Bud's wife and daughter, and killed his partner.
Well, no, they already answered that, and this goes back to what we were talking about with Cobra Kai and the crossover. Like, this right here is about to set the stage. So we saw in Cobra Kai, Tori, she had to summon her inner anger, and she managed to break the stone. And that same advice was given to the newling, you have to summon the rage. Once the rage is summoned, that's it.
But yeah, he's like, he's day one vampire, and he's been a pussy up to this point, but he's doing like freaking crazy flip kicks and all kind of shit. I'm like...
But then again, I think maybe some of that comes with...
the whatever heightened... not awareness, but muscle control, I guess.
Well, I mean,
he's like, I've seen this shit in the movie, but now I'm physically powerful enough to pull it off. But it's like, yeah, it's like, so you're a vampire now? you can do ninjutsu.
Yeah, I don't know. But then again, if they operate like a hive, you know, sort of like,
One person knows what they're doing, and the rest of them,
you know,
it's,
vicariously, you know.
It's what was that shit from whatever, not Twilight, the
God.
the
They
other
don't sparkle, goddammit. We already went through this.
No, the vampire versus werewolf movies.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Lichens and, you know,
Underworld. They have that like whatever genetic memory where
whatever
they,
happened to that series?
where they feed on, they suck somebody's blood, and then all of a sudden they remember all the shit they remember. So maybe they like, all right, you're gonna have to eat this martial artist, and then you're all gonna get ninja powers.
Yeah. Why haven't we got another Underworld? Do we need another one? How many are there? There's probably like 10 of them that I don't even know's out right now.
I mean, that's what watching fucking Kill Count. I found out there was 2 Chucky movies I've not seen yet. But I think there's only 5 Underworlds if I'm correct in that. But hell, they may have been some come out that I haven't heard of yet. I don't know how we missed 2 Chucky movies, but yeah, there's 2 we've not seen yet. And apparently there's a whole series that on Sci-Fi that I've not watched yet either that I missed out on somehow.
I knew about the Sci-Fi series. Are you talking not Bride of Chucky, but the...
There's 2 more after Bride, or after Seed. There's Cult of Chucky and something else that I can't remember the name of the...
I don't know. This probably went directly to DVD, and neither one of us probably even have a DVD player anymore.
All I know is I was watching Kill Count. There was 2 extra Freddy's that I've not, or Chucky movies that I've not seen.
I mean, it's fucking Kill Count. You know, they're probably living in the future. We just haven't got there yet.
True enough. So yeah, they capture his family and they try to feed him to his partner, but they find out, oh, it's not like other movies where vampires like immediately lose their soul. He's like, I'm hungry as shit, but I'm still Seth. Like, you're my buddy. I'm hungry and all, but I don't want to kill you. Like, I'll help you. And then you find out, like, the hot neighbor that was there just to spy on him. She's like, no, this lady's a bitch. Like, I wouldn't work for her unless I had to.
Why didn't he have his neck bitey brace on? Like,
should have wore the brace.
Yeah, I mean,
chewed
you
the
know,
garlic
he had
gum.
It in the, you know, the first field encounter. Like, why didn't you keep that, dude, until at a time that you knew that you wouldn't be vampire fodder?
Yeah, but the hot nurse lady that lives next door that turns out she's like also like, no, this lady's a bitch. She like turns people against their will. Like, I'm not one of the followers. Like, I'm a nurse. I drink leftover blood from the hospital. Like, I'm not out killing people. Like,
whoa, is that why there's always a blood shortage?
Yep. And if you were a vampire that didn't want to kill people, is that not like the best job? Hell, the fucking blood drive people at Dragon Con, man, you could be a vampire in that and just like, you know, one for them, one for me, and just like sneak out with a fucking cooler full of blood.
It's con, dude. People just assume, oh, you got some kind of alcoholic fruit punch.
Yeah. But yeah, they're apparently there's a.
I mean, when people say con after dark, maybe that's a whole new thing. Then
that's where the vampires are. Fuck, there's like one of those Blade blood raves in the basement. I'm thinking of a whole nother movie idea now. I mean, you had that whatever one book that took place at a at a con. Yeah, it's like vampires starting a con. To lure in nerds and feed on them. It's like Dusk Till Dawn, but nerdy.
We need to become film producers. We need some serious financial backing.
So yeah, they roll up in like Stranger Things fashion. The vampire temple is under a mall.
It just so happens it's the same mall from Stranger Things.
That's what I saw. Cause sometimes I look and see where these things are filmed, but I didn't even look to see if this was filmed in Atlanta. But I'm like, that looks an awful lot like the old Gwinnett Place Mall from Stranger Things. And even like the bowling alley, I'm like, that kind of looks like the area next to Paranoia Haunted House. So I'm gonna have to look up the filming locations on this and see if we're right. But yeah, that shit definitely looked familiar.
This will be one of those like it was filmed in a foreign country. It's like, gosh, could we have been more wrong?
It's like the whole time I didn't know Cobra Kai was filmed here. I assumed that was L.A.
I mean, it's a Netflix series, dude. You gotta assume it's filmed in Atlanta.
Yeah. If it's Marvel or Netflix, it's filmed in Atlanta. But yeah, I still like Homeboy's like, you know, he's still a nerd, just learned to be a vampire, and he gets shot, and he's like, oh, I've been shot, and she's like, dumbass, you're a vampire now. They're shooting lead. Oh yeah.
Apparently that was Hawthorne Plaza. This was all shot in California.
Okay,
this is shot and filmed on location with the men and women of local vampire hunting unions.
But yeah, that abandoned mall looked a whole lot like our abandoned mall, at least from the outside.
Every mall looks like every mall.
Yeah, true. They're all like same company. They're just fucking, you know, copy and paste. Oh, but yeah, then Big J shows up to save the day. Fucking most badass, and you know, they're all pinned down. They're like, yeah, we can take on these 30 vampires with AKs. And like, oh no, we can't. We're pinned down. And then he rolls in with that Dodge Ram, just gets out, fucking trench coat, and fucking Jimmy Holly's like, it's the Black Cowboy, and then pulls out Big Bertha, the freaking minigun, and just goes brrr. Big Bertha goes brrr.
Yeah.
I want to see an action movie with Snoop Dogg now. I want to see the sequel to Dayshift where it's just Big J. Like, let's follow him for a day.
Well, I think at this point it would maybe a prequel.
Well, no. The end of the movie, he didn't die.
Whoa, spoiler. I haven't seen the end of the movie. I'm just talking about this shit on the day. I'm just on Wikipedia, man. I haven't even seen this movie yet.
It wouldn't be the first time. But, yeah. All right, as much as we said, like, the gunplay in these movies are great, I gotta point out the one, like, huge firearms mistake they made in this movie. Like, once Snoop and Jamie Foxx go into the bowels of the mall, they find, like, this armory where they're, like, prepping for their war, and they pick up some AKs, and Jamie Foxx grabs a sweet M4 that does not have an optic on it. It does have 2 flip-up iron sights that he never flips up. I mean, he even puts the gun up to his face and aims it properly. I mean, his gun handling skills are on point, but at no point does he have working sights on this fucking rifle through the whole gunfight.
Dude, it's CQB. Okay? He's not taking, 20, 30-yard shots. He's 6 feet away. Like, you just got to point the barrel at that point and click. Like, they're not going for headshots.
I mean, that's the kind of the only way I can excuse it. But yeah, you see him like bringing it up and just kind of aiming down the barrel. I'm like, dude, you got flip up sights, man.
The barrel's straight. You know the bullet's going that way.
That was the only thing that was like, all right, that looks fucked up. Oh, and of course, Big J gets bit. But
sights are expensive now. Okay, you can't even get the basic M-Bus for less than $100.
Vampires on a budget.
Vampires budget and edition.
Yeah. And Snoop's like, go get your family. I got this. And just fucking dual wield, like, ties off his rag over his wound and just starts murking vampires. And when he's all out of ammo, you think he just friggin' opens up his shirt and he's got like some kind of UV bomb strapped to the front of his plate carrier. And he's like, West Side for life, motherfuckers. And sets off the UV bomb there to kill all the vampires. And then you get whatever vampire henchman, like uber vampire fighting Seth and then nurse lady. Fucking rip his arms off and shit.
I don't know. I think we do get a sequel though. I think it's time to meet El Jaheen.
Yeah, that's kind of it's like the vampire white whale, where it's like, this is like the oldest of the old vampires, and he's supposedly laying low in LA running the drug trade, and whoever gets him is going to be like fucking millionaire. So yeah, we get the second movie, and it's like them going. Like, turns out this legend is actually real, and they got to go after him.
All right, so which famous rapper is it going to be?
We bring in Dr. Dre. Bring back Snoop and Dre.
Dude, that makes sense because in the first film, motherfuckers, they forgot about Dre.
Exactly. Damn. Oh, it's a gangster rap dad joke.
Dude, I keep it true. I run these streets. Motherfucker.
And that head vampire lady with like the super speed, she beats the fuck out of Jamie Foxx for a minute. Even his daughter's like, "Get up, daddy." He's like, "I'm trying." And she's like, "Try harder." He's like, "Oh yeah, okay." I'm gonna do that.
I'll be right with you, kid.
But if you go back to his very first fight, he's like, the piano wire trick works every time. And finally, she thinks he's out of ammo and runs up to rip his throat out, and ding, right into the wire.
But at the same time, we've learned that decapitation alone is not enough to kill some vampire.
Maybe she doesn't kill her. Just put her head in a box. She can't regenerate it. She can't find her head.
I mean, yeah. Guess that's sort of anticlimactic. It's like, how did this end? I don't know. Snoop rolled a blunt, and crazy vampire ladies' heads in a box.
Yeah, and as they're leaving, no body, but they find Snoop's hat, and he's like, "You've earned it, kid," and gives it to Seth. And I like the union guy shows up and he says, "I finally got you. You violated this rule." And Seth is like, since he's like fucking knows the entire book, he's like, "Well, sir, this other rule trumps that rule." "Oh yeah, well, he violated this rule." "No, sir, this rule overrides that rule." "Well, what about this rule?"
It was
like,
rescinded.
And he's like, "Fuck. Well, you're never getting that promotion." He's like, "I don't need it now. I'm a fucking vampire. I'm a field guy now, motherfucker." He's like, "Welcome to the motherfucking day shift." And of course,
what was the accountant's name that he was trying to? Is it Carol?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that supposed to be a play on "Fuck Carol Baskins"?
Maybe.
Not a lot of love for people named Carols. Like, Carol may just have become the new Karen.
Yeah, and it's like, how many people like born a Karen and it was like, I had nothing to do with this. I was named Karen before the bad rap of Karens, and they got to deal with this shit. Kind of feel bad for them.
Are the people that just woke? It's like, fuck. No, I mean, literally, I just got out of bed. I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Like, what's this wokeness you're talking of?
Oh, and Steve Howie and Scott Adkins as the Nazarian brothers, which were probably one of my favorite characters.
Dude, that was a great dynamic duo.
And of course his wife's like, "You're a freaking vampire hunter." He's like, "That's why you've been lying to me all these years. Like all this time I think you're just like some douchebag." And he's like, "You're actually like a fucking superhero." He's like, "All right, like, so we should get back together?" She's like, "Sure, but no more lies." He's like, yeah, sure, just the regular lies. I'm not gonna lie about the vampires no more. And of course, at the very end, they're driving off, heading home, happy family, and you see Snoop crawl up out of the sewer. He survived. And to throw back to other vampire movies, it's the quote from if you're a fan of the Lost Boys, you remember Grandpa at the end shows up and saves everybody. He's like, "One thing I hate about this town, it's all the goddamn vampires." But Snoop just rolls up, lights his blunt, and he's like, "It's one thing I love about LA. It's all the damn vampires." I'm like, slow cap. Good job, Snoop.
Yeah, I thought that was very fitting, I mean, you can't have Snoop and Snoop not be smoking a blunt. Like,
yeah, this was the directing debut of J.J. Perry. And I definitely want to see, of anything that we've seen, and a lot of the Netflix stuff, it's a one and done movie. It's not like a big studio where it's like, "Oh, this made money, we immediately got to make a sequel." Netflix hasn't done a lot of sequelizing stuff unless it's like a series. The movies are mostly been one and done. of anything, I think this definitely deserves a sequel. I don't know what the numbers on this one was, but I would definitely watch these characters again.
Well, I think if the numbers aren't great, it's just because word hasn't spread how great of a film this is. And I think once enough influencers watch it and catch on, like, it'll be the, hey, have you seen this? Because, I mean, dude, it's action, it's comedy, it's drama, it's
even
a
the
full
trailer, I'm
package.
like, it's Snoop Dogg and Jamie Foxx versus vampires. This is probably going to be silly. And then I'm like, oh, this is badass. Like, I had to recommend it to like everyone. I'm like, dude, don't sleep on this. If you've not watched this yet, you've got to go see this fucking movie.
Yeah, we probably should have led with that, not closed with that.
So, is there anything we've not talked about from the movie that you're like, that was awesome? Do you have a favorite moment? Funny moments when dude loses his head, is like struggling with keeping his fucking head on.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, decapitation doesn't work. It's like, the body, like,
I said you just got to keep it
little
separated.
bit more to the right. Nope, keep coming. Almost there. All right, gently now.
That's one thing too. It's kind of cool that there's different there's like they say there's 5 different species of vampires. Like the uber vampires, decapitation doesn't kill them. And then there's like the spider vampires, which are those weird freaking contortionist motherfuckers. And there's like southern and eastern vampires. It's like never really seen a movie that's like, oh no, there's different like levels of vampire or different species of vampire out there.
Yeah, no, having the different. Whoa. All right, now that Head Lady's gone.
This is where El Jefe returns.
No, I see. Like, we're going to have, like, a gangland episode of Vampire. Because, now there's no longer that joining force. All of the sects are going to be
it's
divided.
It's going to be,
so...
gang warfare in L.A. for the sequel.
Or... Tupac and Biggie repping the East Coast. And, Snoop and Jamie Foxx repping West Coast. Like, epic rap battles of vampire lore.
And it's like, some vampire movies, if you're just bit, you turn. In other vampire movies, biting's not enough to turn you. You have to also drink the blood of the other vampire before you'll. What if in this world it's only a bite will turn you, and Snoop is now a vampire, and in the next movie he's the new vampire leader?
I don't know. They're not gonna make Snoop a bad guy.
Nah,
he's too friendly. He's got his weed business. He's trying to get off the ground and everything else. Like,
vamping blunts. He starts a vampire friendly weed distributor. I gotta say
that's kind of the missed thing here. Like with Snoop, you would think there would be a dispensary or something that he's holed up in.
But the Union headquarters, that was a cool. I was like, fuck it, I don't want to be a vampire hunter. Hang out at this place. This dude's sitting around smoking cigars, playing poker, talking about killing vampires. I'm like, this fucking place is cool.
Yeah, but is it though? Is it?
Too much damn politics, man. I'm a independent hunter. So, what do you think of this here? Have we atoned for the atonement?
I don't know that we've atoned, but I've definitely gained an appreciation. Like, I mean, this thing is still coming at me with the spice and the, woodiness and,
And it definitely had a strength to it, too. It's like, and I love a peppery cigar, and this one's got that pepper hit. And like I said, it just kind of builds. It doesn't really, sometimes they kind of lessen out on the back end, where this one, it's still going strong. I'm like, unfortunately, like we said, it's a kind of a limited edition, so it's here for a good time, not for a long time. So definitely go pick one of these up while you still can. Hell, I may go grab a couple more and just throw in my humidor for a special occasion.
And I mean, they're not priced at a special occasion cigar.
It's just
either.
that it's limited, so I don't want to smoke them up like now. Like save.
It's kind of like when we discovered the rabid reindeer, and you're like, oh shit. This is just a stronger MX2. I really dig it, but, when it was gone, it was gone. But, man, I love those $75 boxes while they were around.
Yeah. So that's all we got for you this week. We probably got at least one more episode this month, so we'll hit you with some other kind of spookiness. Figure out another horror movie to watch this month for the Cigar Nerds October. And also, every haunted house is open now, so haven't had a chance to go hit any yet, but go check out your local haunted houses. There's always some good ones out there. I'm always partial to Netherworld here in Georgia. We also got Folklore, Paranoia. We hit Paranoia last year. That was a good haunt. There's a ton of them.
Wooded or haunted hayride wooded attraction blacklight place up in Jasper, and the reviews for that have surprisingly been pretty good. And I'm I do every Halloween I do a lot of haunted houses. But I don't do too many of the haunted hay rides and stuff, and I'm
done one of those in forever.
I
might have to go try that one out. And the old Camp Blood down in South Georgia. We're in a good area for haunts around here, so yeah, definitely go see what's available to you and check them out. And with that, we'll be right back. And you've been watching the Cigar Nerds podcast. Check us out on cigarnerdpodcast.com. We're on the ESO Network at esonetwork.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Cigar Nerd Pod. Remember, smoke 'em as you got 'em. Like, comment, and subscribe.